Hey, what is going on, Fan Clan? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Phantom. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, got to do something fun, whether it's Pokemon related or not Pokemon related. I hope it was enjoyable for you. I'm very, very excited to talk about today's video because it is more of a discussion video, but it's something that I'm really, really passionate about, something that's been important to me pretty much my entire life, and that is the prospect of opening up a brick and mortar store, a brick and mortar hobby store or trading card store or whatever you want to call it. There have been so many of these popping up over the past year, and we have not opened one up. I have not opened one up, even though I've really, really wanted to. It hasn't been something that I have decided to go for. And I'm going to kind of go through why I don't think it's the best of ideas right now and why I've been so hesitant and why it's important to me, and kind of get your take on what your thoughts are behind hobby stores, what good experiences you've had in the past, maybe what areas you think need to be improved upon, because I know a lot of hobby stores, a lot of comic book stores can come across as kind of unclean or unsanitary or kind of just a mess. So I want to see good and bad what is going on out there. And then over the next, maybe starting in a few weeks, as early as a few weeks, I'd really like to start a series moving forward of where I go and just kind of visit local card stores or even card stores that might not be super local, just to kind of interview the people who own the place, kind of maybe get an understanding of why they decided to do it, what works, what doesn't work, and kind of take this path down to hopefully one day opening up a brick and mortar store if I can figure out a way to make it work, something that would be very interesting. But to kind of rewind things, go back, I have been into Pokemon for a very, very long time, pretty much ever since it launched. I really started getting into it around the Team Rocket era, and opening up my own card store has always been something that has been appealing to me, or something that's really tweaked my interest levels. Even back further than Pokemon, I remember going to local card stores when I was younger, surrounding baseball cards. I was a huge baseball card fanatic. I loved collecting baseball cards in the mid-90s. Even though I was really, really young at the time, it was something that I was super passionate about, and I know that bubble burst really hard, and I didn't really collect them under the impression that they would be worth anything, but I loved the idea of baseball cards, and I loved everything that went along with them. So I remember going to flea markets and different rummage sales and things like that, and kind of picking through, trying to add to my collection and find baseball cards at the time of my favorite team, which is the Milwaukee Brewers, just because I loved the sport of baseball so much. And then that kind of started expanding into basketball cards and football cards as my passion for sports in general grew, and then into Pokemon cards once I started discovering what Pokemon was. I never really got into Magic the Gathering. I kind of dabbled into it a little bit just to get a better understanding of what it all was. But with Pokemon, once I started getting really into that game and started getting more into the competitive side of things, I couldn't really find anywhere in the area that had leagues or had events for people my age at the time, or anybody really for that matter. I remember getting together with friends and maybe playing in our kitchen or in the basement or something like that, and just trying to tweak decks but not really knowing what we were doing. We didn't have a Toys R Us anywhere near us when I was younger. The closest one was probably about an hour away, and getting a ride all the way down there to sit for a couple hours to play Pokemon was unrealistic at the time. But there weren't really comic book stores or hobby stores that I could go to when I was younger throughout the years until I started getting into college. And once I started getting into college, I really started transitioning more into Yu-Gi-Oh! I had really started enjoying the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Mostly I was always attached to a game that had a TV show alongside it, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Was something where I really enjoyed the first couple of seasons of the anime itself. So I really started getting into the card game, and then when I was a freshman in college, I finally figured out a local league, a local card store, got to know the owner really well, and it was something that had generated a lot of interest from a business level, and he advised me against it and kind of told me all the things that he wished he had done differently and all the things that he thinks that he made a mistake on throughout the years. And that store unfortunately has closed a long, long time ago, but we would actually go there on a weekly basis just because we really enjoyed the atmosphere, and I would go there with a couple of friends and we would play in tournaments every week just to kind of get to know the people in the area better. And that, like I said, that was mostly surrounding Yu-Gi-Oh! They didn't have any Pokemon leagues or anything like that, and this was not too long after WotC sold all of the cards, all of the rights over to Nintendo for Pokemon, so the game had really fallen off. There wasn't a whole lot of people that played that much anymore, except for, the Jason Klasinskis and the Kyle Sukoviches of the world, those people were still very, very well involved with Pokemon, but those didn't happen, unfortunately, in my area. They were quite a bit south from me. So getting to know the players in the Pokemon community was not really possible except for the friends that I met online. And I was always jealous of the people who had hobby stores that were close by, and it's always just been a passion of mine, but something that I saw as very, very unrealistic, especially as I started getting more in depth in college and started understanding economics and business a whole lot more as I was taking more and more classes about business ownership and economics. Like I said, it was just something that I didn't see how you could turn a profit margin that was going to be substantial enough to be able to provide salaries, not just for yourself, but for maybe a co-owner or two co-owners and all the employees and things like that, just on the razor thin margins, especially something that focuses on Pokemon. Now, at the time, a lot of Pokemon cards were selling for very, very cheap, and sealed product was selling for ridiculously cheap. So throughout the years, now this isn't the case anymore, and who knows whether or not I'll come back to that, but Pokemon card booster boxes were selling for $90 to $95 a piece. So you were only making, as a business owner, a few dollars on every booster box that you sold. And a lot of local game stores, a lot of hobby stores did have a markup on those, but it was still, $110, $105, somewhere around there, where they didn't have to ship it. But their margins were still very, very small considering all the things that they have to pay for. And that's really what has held me away from opening a brick and mortar store, is because when you go into business for yourself, you are relying on the opportunity of getting all of these products sold at a margin that is going to be substantial enough to put food on your table and put food on all of your employees' table. That's obviously the goal. That's the goal of any business, right? And when I look at a card store, I just don't see how that works. And I know it does, and I know that there have been people in the past who have made it work, and I've talked to individual owners of card stores who are very, very successful, and I know that there's ways to make it work. And I know a lot of people might say something, well, you need something unique. And that is true. You do need something unique, but the amount of time, effort, energy, and all those things that you're putting into your business, probably literally sleeping there at some points in time, is very, very difficult. So the idea of card stores and all of the expenses that go with them when you're talking about rent or your mortgage or whatever the case may be, that is a huge, huge just gigantic expense. That overhead cost right there, when you're selling booster boxes at $5, $10, $15 margins to pay for, let's say, $1,500, $2,000 rent on a monthly basis, you know how many booster boxes you have to sell in order to get to that point? It's going to be a ton. And there's a lot of other product that card stores carry. You can have card sleeves and card savers and deck boxes and mats and dice and things like that. But then when you start expanding into other areas, you kind of have to start really learning other TCG games, learning other RPG games, learning a lot of other maybe board games and things like that, because a lot of places are going to need those additional products in order to get the additional margins, in order to keep the doors open, because you have, like I said, the rent aspect of everything to begin with, and then you have to start buying all of your equipment inside, all of your pogs, all of your stations, all of your display cases and things like that, tables, chairs, all of those things. And then you're talking about utilities, you're talking about water and sewer, you're talking about gas, you're talking about heat, you're talking about air conditioning, probably a remodel that's going to happen multiple times throughout your tenure at the business. And then there's also all the other ancillary costs that kind of go along with it. It just really adds up when you start looking at all of the small margins that are out there. So it's always been something that kind of has scared me, because I know how small of margins there can be in the trading card game. Now, once you start dabbling into other areas and you start seeing Pokemon is not the only thing in the world, while it's a lot of fun and it's the most important thing to me, there's a lot of other card games that are out there. There's a lot of RPGs that are out there. There's a lot of tabletop games that are out there. So you can start getting into Warhammer, Cardfight Vanguard. You can have Yu-Gi-Oh! You can have Magic. You can have a ton of different RPGs that are going to be out there as well. Comic book stores used to carry like a lot of manga, a lot of anime, maybe DVDs or different movies, video games, things like that they could buy and resell. Different board games, like I said before, and then you have all of your hobby supplies. A lot of collectible stores will carry t-shirts and different memorabilia and things like that, maybe posters, different things that they can kind of expand into in order to help get those profit margins to a little bit higher of a level, where you're starting to turn more product and starting to cater to a bigger audience in order to cut those expenses down. So trying to get a better understanding of all that, and then the whole idea of getting the other thing that kind of, I guess, made me nervous about opening up a card store is because you do have to basically be married to your business when you start thinking about all the things that you need to do in order to get people into your store. And this is something that's really been struggling the past year, and why I've been really against opening up my own TCG store over the past year is because events just aren't going on. You can't have in-person events. I don't know what's going to happen with the whole Magic the Gathering announcement that just came through recently where they stopped the whole pro level circuit, but that's going to impact how Magic moves forward and what happens with store owners and things like that. You want those leagues. You need those leagues on a weekly basis, and when you start looking at Friday Night Magic, you start looking at Saturday, you start looking at Sunday Pokemon League, maybe you have Yu-Gi-Oh! League on Saturday, and you're hosting all these events. That's a lot of additional hours that you have at the store, and the only reason that you're doing that is to get bodies into your store to hopefully buy those products that you're putting out. And then you start adding additional products like sodas and chips and snacks and things like that that have a lot higher of a profit margin to really bring those expenses down. And there's so much that goes into it, so you really have to have a proper business plan in place and a ledger that goes over your predicted expenses and your predicted revenue and all these different things that go into it. And especially over the past year, the main reasons that I've kind of stayed away is really because of that whole league aspect, but also in addition to that, distributors right now, it's very, very difficult. And with product being at such a low supply and demand being so high, you also have to be careful about A, the people that you're attracting into your business, and B, how much product you're going to be carrying, because you want something that's going to last long term. So when I see all these different Facebook advertisements and all these ads popping up all over the place about a new trading card game store that just opened up or a new hobby store that opened up, I start thinking to myself, okay, so how are they going to make it work? What are they going to do different that's going to set them apart and going to make them last for years and years to come? Because they're taking the risk, they're going all in, so they must have done something correct. But a lot of people that they're going to be attracting, if you keep your products at that MSRP level or close to that MSRP level, unfortunately right now, a lot of the people that are going to be coming in are people who are going to want to resell that product, or they're coming in just to kind of clear the shelves, especially now that you can't get product at Target. And there's a lot of people saying that they're not going to be able to get product at Walmart anymore because Walmarts in their area aren't stocking product anymore. So they start going to these local game stores, and these local game stores are selling product all over the place. Well, you want people in your store that are going to be coming for years down the road. And if you're not having events to invite these people in, you are only having events for people to get product. And with product being at such a premium right now and such a bare minimum, it's hard to carry enough product that you're going to be able to satisfy the needs of all of these customers, not just the people who are trying to come in and maybe they have a limit of 1 or 2 items to resell, but the people who are coming in to open packs, the people who are coming in because they want to learn how to play the game. Those are the people that you want to bring in to last long term, because you want them to continue shopping at your store and attending your events for 5 to 10 years. You don't want the people to come in and just buy out the shelves and go, and then when the hobby dies down, exit the hobby altogether because it's not as popular anymore. So that's one thing that scared me. And the other thing that scared me was distribution in general, because of how hard it is just to get Pokemon product right now. A lot of distributorships have stopped taking applications altogether. The majority of them have said, okay, unfortunately, we're not going to be taking more applicants. We're not going to be selling any additional Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic or baseball cards or anything like that until we start being able to supply the demand to our current existing customers. And that's very frustrating if you're somebody who's looking at getting a storefront or you're looking at getting into a business, because there's only so much product that you can get. And luckily for Pokemon has, for now, said, hey, we can sell product, distributors can sell product to online storefronts only, but that could change any day. It could change any moment to a brick and mortar only setting where only brick and mortar stores, only hobby stores are able to get product. And that's a whole nother video for a different day. But these are concerns moving forward when you open up your own shop. And it's not always going to be like this. Things are going to get better. There are, lights at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So this is something that I would like to continue getting more information on, doing more my due diligence on, getting more homework on, but just really figure out this way to establish this community, this family, this friendly atmosphere where people can come in for years down the road and really just enjoy their experience for a very, very long time. And that's something that me talking to you guys, just kind of brainstorming and thinking out loud. I love hearing your comments, but just let me know down below what you guys think about hobby stores, what you think would look great. I don't want to turn this into a price discussion or anything like that. I want to turn this into really what your dream hobby store would be and what would work for you. I've seen a lot of different ideas out there that I've researched in the past. I've seen some that had more of a microbrewery feeling where they really are just kind of open up at night and they cater more towards the college audience and things like that. I want to do something special, right? I want to do something that's going to bring people in long term. When I started going to events and really started getting into the analytical data and the economical data behind tournament organizing and things like that and running events, I really started enjoying that whole business side and really seeing the whole grand scheme of Pokemon has been something that's really kind of driven me outside of just a collector, but building something that's so big and so massive that it really starts impacting lives and creates this special new community. That's what it's all about to me, and that's what's important to me, and trying to figure all that stuff out for a brick and mortar store moving forward is what I really want to capture. But opening it up right now to my own personal opinion, not saying that anybody else is right if they decided to take that plunge, it's a very difficult decision to make. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think. I'm sorry if I was rambling at all in there. I try to record these kind of fast so that way the editing process doesn't take me forever, just because time is so thin. But I really do appreciate you guys listening, bearing with me, all the subscriptions, all of you who have hit the subscribe button down below. I really, really appreciate it. The thumbs up goes a long way. The comments go a long way. So please keep doing that. You guys are awesome. And until next time, I will talk to you soon. Peace.